Welcome to Philly Coco Presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 88. Is a developer's journey into making cool stuff. I am Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Coco Heads community focused on Apple development that primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. Whew, kind of flubbed it a little bit at the end, but I think we'll be okay. We can get AI to fix that
Good
for
enough.
us.
Better than AI doing it.
That's how you know it's not AI.
Exactly. There's no AI used in the.
We'll have to try it one
recording.
time.
Yeah, we
One
should
time.
see if anyone gets it.
I mean, that would be pretty
I
funny.
am Kotaro.
And then there'd be this long
It sounds
pause.
slightly robotic.
Well, actually, that's how you know it's AI, if there's no long pause. It just goes straight to
I don't know.
Steve.
I strip out some of the pauses. I do use a quote-unquote AI tool to try to edit some of this, and I strip out some of the pauses. So sometimes there's like I miss one when I listen to it. Sometimes it gets it wrong, and it like does too much, and so all of a sudden it like clips or whatever. And if I miss one, that's why. If I miss one in the edit, but otherwise it cuts out like 20 seconds of silence per episode, saving you 20 whole seconds or something.
I mean, hopefully that saves you, 20 minutes of work, but this is supposed to this is supposed to make us. What do they promise? Is it going to make us 5x or 10x better editors?
Well, that's for LLMs, but I don't know. I mean, it definitely saves me a lot. So let me put it this way: if we were doing a video podcast, this would save me a lot of time, because I've actually taken video and put it into Final Cut Pro and edited it like a standard talking head podcast, where you just switch between the views, and it took hours. And this platform can just do it in a few seconds, and it's like decent. And then you can just edit and fix it up. So,
well, I mean, that is the beauty about a product that knows its audience, right? It doesn't try to be anything outside of what it is, right? And so it gives you the tools that is specific to that product.
Yeah, I've watched it get better over the last several years, where it started out pretty janky, and now it's like, okay. And there's other products you can use built in with your, like as plugins or something into your actual professional video editing software if you want to use it, except for Final Cut. I'm not sure there's one for Final Cut, because that one's always kind of left behind. But there's lots of tools to now do this like auto editing for specific types of things, like a talking head video, which you see all the time on YouTube. And it does a good job of automatically switching camera angles in a multicam setup.
I don't know if we've mentioned the product that we're talking about, but Riverside.
Yeah, we're using Riverside FM.
Yeah.
They're not sponsoring this. We're not endorsing them or anything.
Yeah, right.
Per se. But I'm just saying we've used a couple of different products, and that's one we're currently using now. And it's working out for me.
Yeah. I just saw. I can't tell if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I just saw my first YouTube video.
Wait, you saw your first
Riverside.
YouTube video?
Riverside.
Sorry, you got it.
YouTube ad of Riverside. I was like completely confused for a quick second. I was like, is this really them?
Yeah, they're everywhere now. I see them advertising pretty heavily now.
Okay, so yeah, it's I don't know where that falls into, like, oh, is it going upwards and thus the enshittification is about to happen, or
I don't know. But they're
in
decent
any
automation tools.
Yes.
In any case,
yes.
Aaron ran around the world or something like that. It was some kind of crazy long distance. 10 miles? 10 miles?
All the way down.
In one run, like continuously? That's crazy.
Yeah, in the legendary Broad Street run.
How long does that take you? How long does it take, like, 10 miles? Well, for you, because you're like the Flash, but for me, it would be like a day.
It's a mostly downhill course. So.
Really? I could maybe live through
just
10.
1 hour, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds.
1 hour, 10 minutes?
It's a lot faster than I would do it.
1 hour, jeez.
Faster than I was expecting, but I don't know, maybe the downhill was...
Well, downhill could be difficult, right? Yeah. I mean, it's its own
not
challenge.
Steep, so it's like just the right amount to make it fast.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so now you're in recovery mode, so we're going to try to keep this tight.
All right. So normally we're back to this sort of try to make something mode.
Right.
As a podcast, and our accountability podcast, so to speak. So the accountability, and so in that case, we're trying to build something. And what is this thing we're trying to continue? I'm talking about somebody who needs sleep. Who is what we're trying to build this time, Steve? What are we trying to build?
Well, we still don't have an official name for it, but our code name is Bento Fit. And it is a HealthKit dashboard designed around the motif, the theme of a bento box lunch kind of deal. It's increasingly becoming more like a cross between the UI, a cross between like a bento box and what is that, teenage engineering, whatever it's called.
Oh,
is that what they're called?
They have weird code names. It's like K something.
No, the company, is that what they're called?
Yeah, that's what the company's called. Teenage engineering.
Those guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, the idea was, that certain things that we like to look at in our HealthKit metrics are not exposed, as accessible as we would like. And we thought, let's make something we can also make some widgets out of, make it easier for us to track these things. And we said, there's three of us. We're three different places on our fitness journey. We just mentioned Aaron can run 10 miles faster than you and I can like walk down our driveways.
You install my build right now, Aaron. I want to see that.
I want to see the run. I want to see the chart, yeah. And then I'm like in between Kotaro and Aaron. I'm like I'm working out like 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes 6. I'm doing a variety of things. I have a mission. I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm running and I'm lifting weights. And then Kotaro is like more walking and like standard kinds of low key fitness stuff.
Let me see. I worked remotely today, and the extent of my walking was walking up the stairs.
When you work remote, this is the perfect time to do a workout at home.
7,
or go to the gym.
Maybe 7 times back and forth. It's the extent of my
without
workout.
The commute, though, you could have instead of the commute, you could have used that time to do some like sit ups, some push ups, some squats.
This is the reason why we built this app, is that this is the range.
Yeah, this is the range. So
fitness we're talking about here.
We've implemented what we're going to talk about specifically where we are now, but we have some UI, like we're dog fooding this. We have some HealthKit metrics. It works just a little slow, and it doesn't have all the settings yet built into it. But eventually we'll have is the ability to kind of select from maybe a menu or a collections of metrics. I'm not exactly sure, but we're not exposing everything that's in HealthKit, just specific ones. And my guess is we'll probably keep with the theme of like having them be kind of slices or something, at least to start with, and then you could probably add and remove the individual ones. But we're not going to cover everything. And then, you can just see it on the dashboard. It's nice, and then you can hopefully make them into little widgets. And it's supposed to be a simple app that we could do quickly, but because it is a real side project, where we literally have less than 10 hours a week, if we're lucky. 10 hours is more than I think any of us have had for this.
Collectively.
Hours a week. Yeah, collectively, like 10 hours a week. So it's going more slowly. But in the meantime, though, it means that I have been spurred to investigate just how crappy these so-called AI tools are. And they're like, not great. But they have helped in some little niche cases for us. It's a combination of a skill issue and the fact that these things are overhyped. But and they don't work as well as Swift stuff.
You mean to tell me, Steve, if I ask this app to make me a weather app using Open Weather API and that's all I need to tell it, it's not going to do the thing? It's not.
I don't know. I haven't tried that. Maybe you'll get something that I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, what our experience, if you listen to a few episodes, is like you can quickly go off the rails with these things. But if you're really focused with it and you actually are not using it instead of your own mind to design the software, you're just using it as an automation tool like I'm doing, it does save some time, and we'll talk about that a little bit more today.
Does it make updates. You a 10x developer? Is there 10 Steves?
10 of me. Wow.
10 of you communicating with these things, doing the work of 10 Steves.
No, I would say it actually kind of feels like negative 0.25 Steves or something. It feels like sometimes it feels like it's 2 steps forward, 1 back, maybe 3 back. I don't know. It kind of is a big wash at the end of the day in terms of productivity, because it'll screw things up so bad. I'll be like, that was a waste of 10 minutes, or it'll just generate a function that I need after I'm very careful with telling it what to do and providing the scaffolding, and then it's like, oh well, that saved me like 2 minutes. And so
What about Aaron? What do you feel like it's making you a 10x developer? 10x versions of yourself?
Because I don't use any of these tools.
Nice.
Stabby,
Classic
stabby.
developer. I got to say, it's probably a lot to do with the fact that it's Swift and Swift UI, but which is not
that
just
is
as
a fair
well
point.
represented.
Yeah.
But they have its utility. I'm joking. I mean, it has utility, but is it like 100x developer? No.
So the work you've done this time for this quote unquote sprint is mostly around the data model. You certainly helped me in terms of trying to get my mind wrapped around the modeling part of this, because I think I took a stab at it trying to abstract out in a very protocol-oriented fashion of the models for each of the health, or I guess what we're currently calling it like a health data point, right? Because each there's going to be each bento cart item has HealthKit data, and it's kind of divided into two categories. It's like one that's just a single data point, and then the other one is like for more complex trend data with a lot of multi-dimensional
you have
data points.
You wanted a model. You wanted like a struct essentially that you can then bind to the UI. Essentially, you want something. And so you have a protocol, and then instead of making it all generic, you made a protocol and then you made it two specific implementations of it.
Yes,
which just add on like a value, which is as you said, sometimes you just need a double. Sometimes you need this like a tuple. We basically have some tuples in there, which is like a date and then the double, which is most of the data we have to deal with is either a single, double, which is a few things, but a lot of it, as you said, is just like a collection of doubles that have a date associated with them. That's what because if you think about it, that's what most of your data is probably in HealthKit. It's like stuff like that. There's also some other types you can get in HealthKit, but that's what we've encountered so far. So you made that. I guess I did do that was a couple weeks ago. We did the main refactoring for that. The latest stuff I was doing, if we want to just go out of order of the outline because we're anarchists here on the pod, we'll talk about my thing first. So I was I hooked up the UI that you provided, that you're going to talk about next, to actual data, and I added in the weekly step counts calculation, and that actually used I used Aider. I think I talked about last time, and I used mostly Gemini 2.5 Flash again, although I did mess around with like Claude and some other models. But the
Aider
Google
is a terminal tool that allows you to interact with multiple different models if you're choosing any of your LLM models. If you're choosing to just basically do the work in terminal, if that's your comfort zone. Just so I remember correctly, Aider itself they don't charge money to use Aider, but it is the open router, which is how you communicate with any of these LLMs. Well, it's kind of like a broker for all the other LLMs, for which then that's what you have to pay the money for.
So the way I have this set up is Aider is the terminal application, and the LLM is whatever LLM you want, and then I'm accessing LLM through Open Router?
Open Router? Pretty sure it's Open Router.
Yeah, OpenRouter.ai. And that just means you can, I talked about before, but it means you can pay OpenRouter and to buy credits, and then those get used to access the different models at the different providers that OpenRouter has access to, and they just deduct from your credits, and all the models have different rates, and you can look them up on OpenRouter and use whatever you want. And that way you have like one API key in your terminal, and you could switch between models at willy-nilly in Aider, which is nice. And you just pay as you go, so you don't have to pay like $20 a month to access the latest ChatGPT model. You just pay the API rates for these things.
So how many layers of abstraction is that between you and the model?
It's kind of a lot. It could be a lot because some of these, some of the models are running on other providers, and then OpenRouter will like switch between the ones that are most performant at any time, So yeah, it's there's a bunch of stuff going on. But you know what? In the end, it works. It's very performant in my limited experience with it. And I like it better than trying to like access each specific service, like have an API key for Claude, Anthropic API key for Grok, API key for Google, and then it's this makes it easier because I tried all of them. I tried like the Grok model. They all have different kinds of reasons why you want to use them. I tried Gemini. I tried the Claude. I tried OpenAI.
Open
stuff.
Router is like the buffet of
What's the routing? It's the routing system.
I wonder. So it's fundamentally it has its own set of API keys. So basically, it's like a bridge almost.
It's a bridge, yeah. So I generate API keys on OpenRouter. That gets me access to OpenRouter, and then OpenRouter forwards my request to the actual LLM on whatever servers it's running on. Which, as I said, there's multiple providers for some of these models. There's not just like one, like that are actually running it, because some of these models are running on, basically different server farms.
I'm just wondering, like, how I'm trying to figure out, like personally, I think there's nothing technically wrong with how those companies should feel about that type of bridging service. Like, I think they should be okay with it, but like something
They seem to be.
in my spider senses is telling me like there's something there that these companies will not like. The fact that they're sort of like they're acting as sort of like a broker in that sense of like.
I mean, you are paying for it. I mean, they're paying for it. There's other services that do this kind of thing. I think that's how the T3 chat works, where they have to do various stuff in the back end to connect to whatever providers of the models that exist, and then they use the APIs. I mean, they're not like doing anything nefarious,
right. Yeah, I don't think it's nefarious in any sense of the word. Like, it definitely feels okay, but I also think like I've seen this story before. Where here's our APIs and it's totally open, and then eventually
it's a unified API.
What?
Yeah, I mean that's what's nice about it. But I know I get what you're saying. I wonder whether anyone would have some kind of problem with it,
like especially if they wanted exclusivity to access to their APIs and have more direct relations with their customers. I don't know. It's more of a like thought than it is necessarily like it's not our problem. Like if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice that you can access all kinds of like models that are running on different systems. So
yeah, I mean, as a consumer, I think it's
inference
great.
Providers. They call them inference providers, but you can
providers. Wow.
Yeah, so like there's they have a whole section now on MCP server. Like I look at that, but yeah. There's more than just OpenAI, although OpenAI is basically, if you look at it by the numbers, like economically, like basically the entire industry. But there's, from a developer perspective, there's lots of models and there's different inference providers. And I don't really see another way of dealing with that without having some service like this. There's got to be a competitor to OpenAI somewhere, OpenRouter, but I just use them first.
Of the ones you've worked with, you seem to like the Gemini Flash the most, or you utilize it the most?
I have been really liking Gemini 2.5 Flash because it is really fast. I mean, you know, as you said, Aaron, going through levels of abstraction here, going through layers, but it's super fast to return results into my terminal. It's like almost immediate. And it seems to be doing a good job with the Swift and refactoring stuff as I'm asking it to do things, as long as I'm not asking it to do too much. And it's super, super cheap. It's like so cheap. Like, I don't even know if I've spent $1 yet of my $10 I put in messing around with this stuff. Some of the other models they're just a lot slower. I haven't tried any of the reasoning models yet. There's a Gemini with a reasoning model, but people are excited by Gemini 2.5. I haven't really tried the Pro one yet, but this Flash one is like, it's supposed to be their like everyday workhorse model, and that's exactly the kind of work I'm doing with it. I'm not trying to use the model to generate some huge abstraction so much as I'm just being like, I need you to just generate this method because I don't want to write this code. I know how it works. Just generate it. here's my input. Here's the output. Just generate this. Like HealthKit method. It's really good for generating the HealthKit stuff. And I've even asked it to like, review the code here and give me some suggestions. And sometimes it works. It said, for instance, it picked up our error handling. I think it picked up some of them were using different error handling than other ones were. And so it's like, we can update this and it works, but then it'll update it and then it'll miss something. Like it'll forget to update the enum or something. And then you just ask it again and it'll update the enum. Ask it. I mean, you'll input, I don't know how to talk about these things. I hate the way the vocabulary around all this stuff because it's not an intelligence or anything, but all the vocabulary out of the AI companies almost forces you to talk like you're speaking about something that's an entity instead of just a computer program that takes input and gives you output. But yeah, it's useful for that. So far, the best results I've gotten have been asking or prompting the thing to generate things of the scale of like a method the size of our HealthKit integration methods, and also occasionally some refactoring. Like I asked it to move code out of one file and make a new file, so I didn't have to copy and paste things, and it did that fine. that kind of thing. I was like, I don't know if it's going to screw things up. It did create a file for some reason at one point. I don't know where that came from. I deleted it. It just made up a file.
An empty file?
Yeah, I think it's because I typed in something. I was trying to add things into the context in Aider, and I think I just typed something wrong. Like the autocomplete wasn't clear enough, and I think it's like, oh, would you like to add something? And then I guess I just hit yes. I accidentally went to vibe coding mode and just hit yes and or something.
You accidentally went to vibe coding?
Yeah, but
you drunk vibed?
Yeah, drunk vibe. No, never drinking vibe coding.
I never drinking vibe.
But the one other thing I wanted to mention about this, because there's not a lot to talk about with the Aider stuff, because it's basically did that last time. The biggest thing I did was, there's 2 more points I wanted to make. I was trying to improve the async performance. I think I made some marginal improvement. Like I wanted to change we have one method that loads most of the data, loads all the data from HealthKit, like tries to preload it. And this was an async method, but using standard async await, which means each line you have to wait for it to complete to go to the next one. So I refactored it to do async let, for instance. Well, first, the model, I was asking, this is where I think I went to the architect mode. I was asking, like, how can we make this, work so that they all go out, they all do asynchronous calls, and then we update them when the data comes back. And then it did a task group, which was like, that doesn't do it. That's literally the opposite. That's tying everything together. It's even worse. And so, but and then I was like,
you want to wait longer?
Let. Yeah, I think it made it slower. And then I was like, use async let. And then the beauty was it was fine at refactoring that stuff. Like it just like went and just regenerated the method. And I looked it over. I was like, oh, that's good, because it's not a huge method, but there's like a bunch of async let is really wordy. You have to set up all the things and and then wait them in the right place, and it's a little annoying.
What makes this what makes this challenging is like right now we're building, the way we're pulling the data from HealthKit is basically we're pulling all the data points from every conceivable data category that we can think of.
Well, the ones the handful of categories that we're interested in, and although the I did have the model scan the thing and tell me what we could do for improvements, and I think it did say to like restrict the data you're sending, but we already were doing that. Like we're not asking for the entire history of most things, but we should double check that. Like that's one thing. Make sure that we're not grabbing it. I think it's helpful that we're testing it on my device, and probably Aaron. I don't know. Do you use an Apple Watch or no?
Yeah. I do.
So you probably have a lot of data. Like I have years and years worth of data, especially like heart rate metrics and walking metrics and stuff like that. So if we screw up the query and ask for 5 years worth of data, it's pretty obvious when it's on my device, but it's not so obvious when you're just doing it in the simulator. So I've been doing that. And the other thing I wanted to mention about Aider, besides it being really pretty good at HealthKit functions and refactoring that stuff, is Aider itself will check in stuff as it goes, commit them in Git as it goes. And it's been making pretty nice messages. So we went to squash the branch that we were both collaborating on, and the commit messages all got clumped together, and I edited some of them, but for the most part I kept them intact. And it just made some nice messages. It was just like it prefixes them with like whether it's a fix or a feature. I think it was actually pretty accurate about the messages that were being put in there. So that saves some time too. That's nice, because I don't know about you, but I could be better at Git commit messages.
Maybe that sounds like the only thing I would use this thing for. Say, write me a commit message for this.
It's actually my favorite part.
I did notice you can now in GitHub, you can actually, there's a Copilot reviewer. You can have somebody review the Copilot to review your PR.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
I was half tempted to try it just to see what it would do.
We're gonna run out of electricity with all these LLMs, these inference, server farms running all the time to do every little thing in every program ever.
But we can get like really optimized local models to do most of this stuff soon.
Yeah, that would probably be. Ideal.
This is a tangent. Yes. However, the rumor is going on tangent. The rumor is that Apple might be going with Anthropic to bring like Claude and stuff into Xcode. So that would be really cool if that happened.
That'd be great. To be honest, like if they could figure out a similar idea, like an open router, but like even something more like straightforward.
They'll be like, you get to use just Claude 3.7 Sonnet Orchestra, whatever we're gonna call it,
and then OpenAI,
and I would be surprised if there was anything but just like, do you want the cheap thing or the expensive thing?
That's just always going to be expensive.
Or just like 3 tiers
right,
and like abstract everything else away.
Maybe part of Xcode Cloud to make us all subscribe and buy.
That's what you don't give them any ideas, man. Don't give them any ideas.
Tim Cook doesn't listen to this.
Advertise the specific model you're
You don't know that,
sounds
man.
Too cumbersome.
Yeah.
That one listener from Cupertino could be Tim Cook.
Could be Tim Cook right now. Hey, Tim.
Hey, how's it going? Shout out to you.
We love Apple.
It's great. Don't do this idea.
No, but I mean, if and this is just some rumor I saw on a rumor site, but if Apple actually, because they have a deal with OpenAI with ChatGPT, right? But if they did this, I mean, that would be kind of admitting that their own development of the models is not competitive, and I think everybody realizes it's probably not competitive. Like Swift Assist, even what was demoed last year, was not that impressive compared to what these models can do now.
Every time I compare it to like if there's anything I wish they stole or took from Android Studio is that the code completion, and it's just
the Android guy
phenomenally good.
He loves it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
but I think that this Aider program is kind of like working well for me. This is like the kind of interface I like because it means I can use anything. I'm used to a terminal. I can jump to a different editor. I could use VS Code or whatever, and I could still just use the terminal to do the LLM stuff and not have to worry about integrating it into the terminal. Although, I mean, there's advantages using something like Cursor, obviously, for like the vibe coding. And I mean, all these programs have their own pluses and minuses. But I'm liking the Aider thing. I'll probably stick with it for a while longer, and it's so cheap for me to do it this way. It's like, as I said, it's cost me about like $1 so far. I put $10 in of money so far.
You spend more money in Apple Search than you would with.
I know, yeah.
That, so
I mean, I spend more money on Apple One every month because I can't figure out how to unbundle the features.
Well, you can, but you just have to
explain to me how to unbundle Apple Music and get it to be a single person Apple Music and not a family plan because I haven't figured that one out yet. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, but so that's my update then with refactoring with Aider, and I'm looking to maybe I talked to you about it briefly. I'm looking to maybe do like an async stream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking maybe we need an async stream because I'm still having performance issues, and part of it is the UI updating the way we're loading the cards after we get the data. It's like the data is all loading asynchronously, but then it has to go on the main actor. But I was thinking if instead we could get it to work so that we can have a observable kind of update with an async, because I've been doing that at work a little bit, and I was like, there's async streams if it works, it's actually pretty cool, and it just kind of things
honestly
work.
Like the load card method, it was just to get stuff in there. It was never meant to be like it was never meant to be like, oh, we're gonna bring all this stuff in or in an array like on load, right? So it was never meant to be that. Yeah,
or the other idea was with the refactor those cards so they're all independently loading, which is I started that, and then I think I was like, this is definitely going to break everything trying to do that right now at the last minute before I had to leave to do something. So async stuff is still our problem. If we can get over that, then we're golden. So the main thing we were supposed to be talking about today was your giant, amazing UI update, Kotaro, which I showed people this, and people are like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool, man."
I mean, this is it's base default, but like
you can't see this, listeners, but it's very cool.
Tron mode. Colors need to be tweaked a little bit, but like in dark mode, it looks like you're in Tron, and in light mode, it looks. How do you describe it? So we have a white frame around the entire dashboard as a sort of a metaphor for like the casing of a bento box, like a white bento box.
I thought it was a cutout. I thought it was like the card in the middle because there's a shadow around it. It looks like it's 3D.
Yeah, but like so here's where the metaphor like breaks, because it's kind of meant to be that like dashboard that you would find, not dashboard, like the kind of thing where you see in like the wall mounts of like home securities, like the cheaper ones. Okay. Where you have like the LCD or the liquid displays and like black and white with like kind of like a
kind of looks like little square-ish rectangles. Like if a really high-res LCD, like a Casio watch, was really high-res.
Yeah.
And was somehow displaying all this stuff.
Right. And I think the font that I found, which is the Tomorrow font, which is a Google font, plays really nicely with this kind of metaphor. So it was probably, I mean, still, again, all the metaphors they fall about a little bit on closer inspection, but like as it is,
yeah,
I kind of like it.
Did you make custom icons? Like, what are the icons?
No, so just for the viewers, every bento item has an icon on the top. So this is a grid of squares with data items in each square. And on the top left of each square, there's an icon, and that's a SF symbol.
Oh, it is? I didn't know SF symbols worked with other fonts.
No, so because it's just an FF symbol, it's just its own thing. I mean, it's basically its own font library when you think of if you.
No, but I mean, they look like they're rendered differently than I'm used to seeing them.
Oh, that's because I added a very, I don't even know if it's that subtle, but a very, like a little drop shadow right underneath.
Is that all you did? Was that a drop shadow?
That's all.
You made them like black and white. They're already black and white.
So they're kind of like light gray. They're like a very specific tone of gray. And then there's a drop shadow that's a little bit of a hint of like kind of like a layer there. That's with everything. So
yeah,
it's
that's pretty
pretty
cool. You can do that with. I mean, I know you can modify SF symbols, but I've never added a drop shadow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like it rendered it like the fire one is the one that really got me because the fire SF symbol. It's like a big fire, and then there's like a little fire symbol like in the middle of it. And when you add the drop shadow, it looks like they're both kind of independently being given a drop shadow. It looks like there's a drop shadow around the outer outline of the fire, and then the inner one. So it gives it this clear 3D look. And I thought you did something really custom, but apparently Apple's just really good at applying modifiers to this.
Yeah, I mean, simple drop shadows have done well and subtle. I'm bringing it old school. So, like, if anybody in the old school days know, like, by default, if you put drop shadow in, like, a Photoshop layer, it always did, like, it always offsets one X and one Y. One a little to the right and a little to the bottom. So it gives it a sense of, like, the light source is coming from, like, the top left. And I decided to just bring that back because it looked good that way. So yeah, so like it's as weird as it sounds, and normally like I don't like to get too rah or excited about it. I was like, when I saw this in my hand, I was like, man, this looks so good. I was like so excited about it.
I mean, it's drop shadows everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm bringing skeuomorphism back, baby. It's coming back.
Yeah, I like this. Oh, and I did a little animation you added. Yeah, so you click them. What we don't know what's gonna happen when you click them though.
Oh no, I think there's a couple ways we can do it, right? So when you press and hold, we can add context menu, and like you can maybe change it. One of the things I also was going to do is like allow for you to like hold and drag and then move them and reorder them in any way you want. If I get that working, I feel like I would be pretty happy with that state. So basically, it's very similar to like how you order your apps or your widgets.
I just think the question we had before we started recording was, would you want to bring up some kind of detail screen for these? And some of them, maybe doesn't make sense because if it's like current weight, it would be something totally different. If you what would you open it up to? The past weight, like the history of weight, but then that's not the same thing as the card. You could, but then something like the charted ones, like the weekly steps, is where I was thinking. But
the weekly steps would never be. So basically, this is this grid is a 2-column grid. And a weekly step which has a chart in it. It's the only one that has a chart for what we're testing now. But any of these types of bento items will actually be 2 columns. It would just stretch across.
Yeah. Okay. And I also
it would never be this small.
Yeah, and I also thought maybe we even simplify it more because if it's like something like weekly steps, you can assume it's the last 7 days or something. You don't have to necessarily have dates on the bottom because they get cut off. But we'll see how it looks when you stretch it out. I don't know if we need a detail screen because it doesn't really make sense for everything. And the whole point of this is it's a dashboard. So
yep. I mean, again, like maybe I might do something where like maybe delete and or share or something like that, a context menu. But I don't think.
Can you? Yeah, context menu. Can you deep link in? Well, not all these things are in the health app, so like they're in there, but they're like weekly steps is like an aggregation. So what would you link to necessarily? That would actually
not be a bad idea to deep link into HealthKit
if it makes sense anyway.
Yeah.
That's another option that could be on the menu.
We'll worry about that. That's like a post MVP idea.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea.
But I mean, this is pretty close to being a useful MVP. Just a little slow to load.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Aaron's dashboard and how that looks.
Aaron's like weekly steps are going to be too much for that little rectangle.
I know, right? It's going to like bleed.
It's going to be like a.
It's just going to. All my edge cases of like, oh, this is perfect in bespoke UI, and it's like there's what's this is going.
No, well, if it was
this UI,
if it was the last 7 days, it'll probably be like a horizontal line at the top of the square, and then today it just drops like a straight vertical line down because the relative number of steps difference. You know what I mean? So it's just going to be like some giant difference.
One thing.
Day. Mine was nice and spiky because I run regularly, so my chart is like actually pretty good for visual because it just goes up and down spikes.
You should send me a screenshot of that once this is done. But anyway, next steps for me at least is to finish up some of the UI tweaks I want to do here. One thing I might need your help or Aaron's help is to figure out the weekly steps, get these types of. They're called like multi-data point cards. Just get it to like stretch across 2 columns. That would be helpful for me. So then we can kind of see it in its best form. And then afterwards, I know you guys are going to work on adding as much data, health data points as you need or you want. So I might focus on this UI and maybe adding the context menus and seeing how they work out. But yeah, and fixing the header because I think the header is different from the comps when the comps need.
Oh yeah, I did ask.
The UI,
the Gemini model about that. I did ask about how to do custom menus. It wasn't that helpful.
So the funny thing about this,
there's no easy way of doing it.
Yeah, basically what I did was if like the default nav bar setting where it's defaulted to a large display nav title.
Yeah.
But then a transparent background unless you like scroll up. But what I want is like by default the nav bar to be like white basically, like opaque, and the nav or the title needs to be using the tomorrow font. But in order to do that, I think I might need to mess with UI appearance.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You have to go to like UI kit stuff because there's nothing really in Swift UI that lets you do it. And in fact, Xcode is throwing a purple warning because you're trying to add modifiers to it, to the navigation title. It's like, you're not allowed to do that. Bad developer.
So there's that, or I can come up with just this very simple overlay. Because we're on iOS 18, there are so many scroll view features now that I have access to create.
When in doubt, just put an overlay over it. I saw your little trick with the loading screen. I was like, why didn't I do that with another app? Because it's like I'm doing like if-else things, like loading things, which can be janky. Like why am I doing that instead of just an overlay that I just hide? Like that's like obvious and works beautifully.
I didn't think too deeply about it when I did it because I was like, I just need something, right? And
I've done this stuff. Like I've had a spinner, and then it's like an if-else thing. But it's like, well, why? If you're just trying to load all the data anyway, why do the whole SwiftUI update where it's like has to redo the has to redo the view twice? Like, I don't know. It feels like this is more elegant, and it's less code. So it's like it's just at the bottom. It's just an overlay, and then there you go, and you just hide it with a state variable. So I was like, oh, that's just so much simpler. And then we can make that view. We can make that a reusable view if we want. I mean, we can make that whatever view we want. We only have one screen, so we don't need to make it reusable.
Yep. So that's it for me. I don't know, Aaron. You got anything? I don't know what progress you made aside from what you did before.
Yeah, not much. I need to just get the latest build running and recover from my run and go from there.
Yeah,
dude, man.
I think
once you see this in hand, it's gonna. I'm actually excited. I'm actually really excited. I'm gonna re-update because the Bento app icon was like a different metaphor at the time, and then really was just a placeholder anyway. Doesn't look like anything like this anymore, so I need to like change that to reflect that look.
Well, it looks like a velvet lined box. The current,
it's like a traditional Japanese bento, and I now like it upsets me.
Yeah, you're really obsessed. Unlike me, who has like a blank icon for a year for an app, like I don't care what the icon looks like, but you care. So you have to have a good icon.
So if it's not obvious to the listeners, I am really excited of this next phase where like now I can kind of see almost close to like where we're going from a UI point of view, and I'm like now I want to like tinker and mess around even further. So I'm focused around that this time.
This app is primarily, this is primarily a UI focused app. I mean, we're getting stuff from HealthKit, but I mean that's pretty standard code. I mean, obviously the LLMs can generate most of it for us when we need it. So I mean, there's nothing like super complicated about the HealthKit part. It's just kind of tedious, and it's all about the UI, baby. It's all about that skeuomorphic UI, and then bringing this out and making it into widgets, and it's all about that look and feel because you're trying to make a little dashboard because you want to be able to look at it. And the way I'm using it is like I want to see this data because it helps me keep track of where I am on my journey, my goals. But it gives me that's what I'm looking for, Kotaro. It gives me inspiration, to keep going. Like, especially the charts. The charts are really cool. I mean, you think something so simple. It's literally just a line, but you have this accent color of orange on the light mode. It just looks so sharp with the kind of aesthetic you got going on, and I just want to see that line go up.
I want to just see it
crypto
stretched
sense,
out.
But in the...
So if you guys can help me out with that part.
With what part?
Just making sure that this stretches out to a full extent of the two columns.
That's like a weird grid. At one point we had that working, and it was part of the AI slop. We had vibe coded into existence, and then I deleted it because it was so broken otherwise. But I think it kind of worked. Though,
it worked
briefly, and I think it was just messing with the grid layout options.
Yes, there is.
They can be a little confusing.
Yeah, I think
I was
the
messing
way
with
it
them
works
the other day.
We might need to create it so that the grid items are dynamic, because I think you can specify column count on the grid item. Actually, I should tweak.
It might be a simple change to make it work because we're not doing it. We can use a standard, flowing grid layout here, whatever it's called. But we just need to say sometimes it's 2 columns, sometimes it's 1 column.
Is this a lazy VG? You can tell it's late.
Lazy V grid or something?
Yes. This is a lazy V grid, or
it should be
just
probably
a regular grid.
It probably should be a lazy grid.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, we'll see.
Details, little micro details, but yeah, if it is, then it actually shouldn't be too bad. Should be pretty straightforward. But worry about that in the next iteration. But yes, that is my report. And Aaron, if you can help me with that, and maybe the other charts, any other trend data we can implement, that would be cool to like test out.
Yeah, Aaron,
sometime this week.
Even if you don't generate any code, if you put in like a placeholder for stuff, like I can generate them. Like if you don't have time to mess with it, like if you want to put in other metrics that we didn't already have listed, you just put in a comment or something.
One thing I did want to talk to you about is like right now we just have it as 6, and I'm thinking we should just top out at 8 data points, but that was more just me picking a random number. So basically that fits this UI, right? Because
how
this
big
UI
is your
can
bento
fit
lunch?
Right. So like I would just stretch the box down a little bit, and then to fit the last row.
Also, have you tried this on on like SE or some smaller iPhone?
I have not, but let's it's still a scroll view. It's still scroll.
Scroll view. Yeah.
We're still kind to the SE people.
Yeah.
But
it's just gonna be like a single column.
because this border, I'm still trying to like make sure that I can.
I don't know if
I forgot if
the border is not
it does,
doing it for me the way it is right now.
Yeah, it conforms to. It has a min height of like 600 or something, but it's supposed to max out to whatever fits whatever, so it'll fit the group.
It just doesn't look like a border to me. It just looks like a cutout.
I guess
it looks like you cut out the middle of the app, right, and then put a rectangle in the middle of it that has our grid on it. That's what it looks like to me because of the drop shadows.
Right. The one thing that it'll be interesting to see how that fits once I add the white nav bar back.
Okay.
So it's like defaults to transparent. Yeah. So maybe that might help, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's the because the background color is the same on the
yeah. I also was thinking like adding like a more as if there's like it lights up once like this middle part will light up and sort of like a I forgot what they call that. Like it's like a light blue look, like a slightly light blue. So once once the data comes in,
the screen.
the backlight. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, we're really going skeuomorphic here.
You damn right we are. I'm not
holding back.
Not holding back. It's a portfolio piece for me and Tomato Boy. So
all of us.
And
we all get to use this. But yeah, this is gonna be a big.
What's going to trigger the backlight? Is that when
once the data comes in, it's like chit, and then the stuff comes up.
But is it going to stay on all the time, or is it going to like?
It'll stay on afterwards. Yeah, yeah, it'll probably stay on.
Or you can just have it like flick flash or something when it's up.
But yeah, it'll flicker in, and then the items will come in. I don't know if there's ever a moment where it'll probably shut down if I do a pull to refresh, and that'll actually be like a click, and then like it'll turn off for a second, and then reload and turn everything back on.
If I remember correctly, there is a way to get. Isn't there a way to get streaming data from HealthKit? Like when there's an update, it can. I'll look into it. Because I thought there was something I saw in the docs. It was like you can ask for the data so that when it updates in HealthKit, you get notified. If I'm remembering correctly, so you could potentially have this dashboard be live. Is what I'm saying. Live-ish, however live HealthKit is.
It would be funny if I like added like a off button, like this one of these nav buttons. I was like the off button's like I turn this off. It just turns off.
So it's not live anymore.
It's like, why did you do that? Why'd you add that button? It's like, I don't know. It just seemed to make sense, right?
I'm all for the skeuomorphic look.
Just go all in the skeuomorphic. All right. Yeah.
Because that was going to be like glass or something in iOS 19, right? We'll have to redo it again anyway.
You actually convinced me. This is actually a genius idea.
You're already like so close to like a kind of teenage engineering-ish aesthetic a little bit with a Casio watch, or like those classic game on watch things. But way higher resolution.
Yeah. I mean, the metaphor somewhat breaks, particularly with this like orange line. But I think that is fine if everything's done in like small like bits, and I think it's not meant for like. In the end, like we want to be pleasing to look at, but also like quick, like quick to read and be like, oh, okay, cool, and then
that's something
move on to your about your day.
That's something. This aesthetic is. It's very easy to read.
That's good to hear.
It's very easy to read, especially like on the modern iPhone. Like because it just pops.
I mean, it's so great.
It's like it's crispy. It's clear. It's contrasty. It's sharp. Sharp edges, but not like they don't hurt your eyes. Sharp edges. They're just clear. Like you can, even though like current weight, the titles of these things are very bolded. Yeah. See, even looking on the stream here, on the recording as a recording, I can see your numbers clearly. Like that's crazy. That looks really good. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not one to gush over my work too early, but that's good stuff.
It's gonna win a design award for sure. And we're gonna go to California next year.
Yeah, it'll be in the obscure. It'll be put in the obscure what ifs.
Do they even have people come out anymore for them? They just ship you the awards.
No.
I don't remember.
Oh, that would be hilarious if we get a design award for this thing. That would be crazy.
If we got a design award from anybody, I'd be like, yes, we deserve it. But also, I'd be like, that's very surprising because this is good work. But I don't think Apple needs to exist. Although, I mean, again, maybe Tim Cook is listening. So if you're listening, consider us. We'll submit the materials when we're done.
We know you're a health junkie. So if you need that test flight build, let us know.
We might as well, by the way, submit it. I've never submitted stuff for one of those for contention, that kind of thing. We should probably do it anyway to the when we're done. We still have to. We're going to do some kind of in-app purchase or whatever, so we can learn how to do that. Now that we don't actually have to use in-app purchases anymore. That's a whole other topic. Sure. It's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
My brain is so fried with other things.
Yeah,
I have no time to
wrap
it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do that. So that's all we have for today. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you'll find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is. And share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. This is going to be a repeat shout out to Ronaldo for his app called Bleep.is. It is a BLEEP.is.
Bleep.is.
Yes, Bleep. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
No, it's probably just
it is
hard to hear over this.
It's a Mac and iPhone and iPad client for getting sort of consolidating all your inspirations, collections of ideas. It's very much like Notion, or I don't know, what are the other like think of like Pinterest-y kind of apps, where this is a native app that also syncs through iCloud. It allows you to store your inspirations, just random like notes and photos, and you can even have an extension you can use in your browsers to send your images over to the app. So again, it's one of the things where I'm kind of looking for a tool myself to keep track of some of the projects that I want to work on, game specific. So like I want to make a wrestling game. It'd be cool to like, I have so many references I want to put in some place, so this would be a good app to test this idea out on. It's on the Mac Store for $20, and iOS and iPad are free to download and to sync. I believe they have an in-app purchase. I could be wrong there, but that is free to download to try out with some limitations. So yeah, Bleep.is. Check them out. Till next time, good luck on your own developer journey. We will cheer for you always.
It actually kind of feels like negative 0.25, Steve.